Students, we're going to be looking at a topic in mathematics, which is quadratic equation. Under this topic, we are going to be studying different types of quadratic equation method that we have. And we are going to be looking at a template on how to calculate some equations when we have our given square. So we have a slide there that will serve as a guide for this class. Now let's start with a further equation example. Now we have an equation here. We have to construct this equation. Now when you have a constructed equation and we have to find the value of unknown, we have treated that before under equation and inequality. Then we are to collect like times and subtract, then add or divide, so that we can get our unknown. So in this aspect here, we have a shape with a perimeter 54 centimeter. So we have to calculate the value of x in the diagram that is being given. Now for this type of equation, normally perimeter is calculated as L plus breadth, which is length plus breadth. So we have to be adding all the length of the side of this shape together, and we are equating it to 54, which is the perimeter that has been given to us. So in a short while, we are going to be calculating, and let's see what we are going to be getting for the value of x. So now, as I've made mention of it earlier, perimeter of any given shape is calculated as length plus breadth, which is the perimeter. That's perimeter. So now for this shape here, we are going to be adding both the breadth and the length together. So we have x plus 3 plus x plus 8 plus x minus 5 plus 8 equals 54. So how many x we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4x. Now plus 3 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 minus 5 equals 54. That's the perimeter that has been calculated here. Now let's add plus 3 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. That's going to give us what? 27. Now what is 27 minus 5? That is minus 20. That's plus 22. So we have 22 equals to what? 54. We want to get x out, so we take plus 22 to the other side, and it changes to what? Minus 22. So we have 4x equals 54 minus 22. What is 54 minus 22? That is what? 32. So we have 4x equals 32. We have to divide both sides by 4 because we want the value of x. We have 4. Divide this side 2 by 4. So 4 here, we cancel 4 here. We have x left here. How many times can 4 goes in 32? That is 8. And that gives us solution to the problem. So we are going to be looking at the next slide. We have another worked example. This is just like a word problem. 3 is added to a number. The result is multiplied by 8. If the answer is 64, calculate the value. So we have to calculate the value. We said that let the value that is being added to that number, let it be x. We can denote it by any other alphabet, but we just try to make use of x. So we have x plus 3. Okay. Now the result is multiplied by what? By 8. Multiply it by 8, and our answer is what? 64. So we need to get x. Now for us to get x here, we have to open the bracket by multiplying 8 with what we have in the bracket, which is x plus 3. So we have 8 multiplied by x to give us 8x plus what is 3 times 8? That's 24 equals to 64. So 24 is coming to the other side and it's changing to what? Minus 24. So we have 64 minus 24. Why is it changing to 24? Because of the equals to sign. So that's why it's changing to minus 24 from plus 24. So we have 8x. What is 64 minus 24? 64 minus 24 will give us what? 40. Now we have since we need the value of x, we have to divide both sides by 8. So we divide the side by 8, the other side too by 8. Here 8 we cancel 8. So we have x left here. How many times can 8 goes in 40? 8 can goes in 40 5 times. So the value of x here is going to give us 5. Now, under this, we have introduction to our topic, which is quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is an algebraic expression of a second degree variable x. The standard form of quadratic equation is written as a x raised to power 2 plus b x plus c equals 0, where our a and b are the coefficients and are non-zero, so they cannot take a zero value, and x is the variable and c is a constant term. Now, that we are actually looking for x under this, but we are with a degree of 2. So we have a second degree variable of x here. Now, the numerical value of a, b, and c can only be written as an integer value. So for a value a, b, and c, we can write it as, it can take a negative or a positive value, but it cannot take a non-zero value. So now let's look at these activities here. Now, quadratic equation is an algebraic expression of a second degree variable. Yes or no? That is yes. So we are, because x under quadratic equation is raised to the power of 2. So let's check. Okay, now we are right. Now let's look at the next activity we have here. Under this, the form of quadratic equation, the standard way of rewriting our quadratic equation is a x raised to power 2 plus b x plus c. So a is what? A is a coefficient. So I have told us earlier that it can take either a negative value or a positive number. So we can, and b is also what? B is also a coefficient. Now c is what? C is a constant term. And I have told us that a and b cannot be what? Cannot take a zero value. So a and b must be non-zero. So let's check. Okay, now that leads us to how can we solve our quadratic equation. So ways to solve quadratic equation: we have completing the square method, we have factorization, and we have quadratic formula. So we are going to be looking at this one after the other. Now let's start with our factorization method. Under factorization method, we have two situations. In the first scenario is when our a is equals to 1, and the second scenario is when our a is not equals to 1. So now what happens when our a equals to 1? How are we going to solve the given equation? So we find two values that when is added together gives coefficient b, and when multiplied together give a constant term c. After getting that value, then we replace the two values that we have gotten with a coefficient b. Now we factorize the new algebraic expression in pair by finding the common numbers in the pair of the bracket. So with that, we are going to be looking at an example here that we are going to be solving. I look at this. What we mean by a coefficient of a equals to 1 is that there is no value before this x. So a here is what? A here is 1. So we are going to be solving this equation using what? Using factorization method. Now, for us to get this factorization method, what do we go about? We have said that we have to look for this coefficient of b, which is 8 here. Look at two values that by the time you add them together will give us 8 in this given example, and by the time you multiply it together will give us 12. So now let's look at two values that we can give us plus 8, and by the time we multiply together will give us plus 12. Now let's add 6 plus 2. 6 plus 2 will give us what? Plus 8. Now 6 multiplied by 2 will give us what? 12. So the two values there is what? Is 6 and 2. Now, having gotten the two values, we are then going to be replacing the value of 8x with the new two values that we have, which is 2x plus 6x. After that, then we factorize. We look at the common number that is in the bracket and we bring it out. So now let's solve. So we have x squared. Now this can be written as x squared plus 2x plus 6x plus 12 equals 0. So now let's close them in the bracket, in pair of brackets. So we have this, and we have x squared plus 2x in brackets, 6x plus 12 in brackets. Now let's look at x squared plus 2x. What is common between the two of them? We have x. So let's have x out. What is left? We have x plus 2 here. Okay. Now let's come here. What is common between 6 and 12? That is 6. 6 can go in 6. It can go in 12. So we bring 6 out. We have 6. What is left here? We have x plus. Now, I will take 6 out of 12. We have 2 left here, which is equals to 0. Now, if you look at this term inside the bracket, you see that they are the same. So, out of the two terms inside the bracket, which is x plus 2, we are bringing out one of the term, which is x plus 2, with what we have outside the bracket, which is x plus 6. So, we can now have it to be x plus 2 in bracket x plus 6 in bracket. Remember, we are equating to what? 0. Now we equate each of these terms to 0 to get the value of x. Now we have x plus 2 equals 0 or x plus 6 equals 0. What happens when we have x plus 2 equals 0? We have come back to a linear equation, so we need to solve for the value of x. Now from here, x is going to be what? X is going to be, by the time plus 2 comes to the other side, it changes to what? Minus 2. Or now plus 6, by the time it crosses the equals to sign, it's changing to what? Minus 6. So it's going to be x equals to minus 6. And those are the two values for this given inequality. So these are the equation results. So now let's check for the next slide and see what we have there. Okay, now what happens when we have our a to not be equal to 0? So that implies our a is having a value that is more than 1. Now, the steps we have to look is we have to invisibly multiply the coefficient of a and the constant c. Let's call that value p. Now, after getting p, find two values that when added together give b and when multiplied together will give what? P. Replace the two values with the coefficient b, then you factorize the new algebraic expression in pair by finding the numbers common to the pair in brackets. So with that, we are going to be looking at an example that we have here. So let's do this example together. Though it's an interactive class, but I'm going to be giving the illustration on how to solve the equation that we have there. The equation says that we should solve this given equation and find the two solutions of x when we have 2x raised to power 2 minus 3x minus 5. Now, based on the instruction we had earlier, this is a coefficient of what? Of a here. So we multiply that with our constant value here, which is 5. So now 2 times 5 will give us what? 10. Now, having gotten 10, remember we have a sign here which is minus 10. And the coefficient of b is what? Minus 3. Now, for us to have that, now let's look at what are the two values that by the time you add it together will give us minus 3. And by the time you multiply together will give us minus 10. Those values are what? 2 and 5. Now, 2 minus 5 is what? 2 minus 5 is going to give us minus 3. And when you multiply 2 with 5, that is what? Minus 10. So we have 2 and 5. So with that, we are going to be replacing 2 and minus 5 in respective of what? Of the coefficient of b. And then we put them in pairs of brackets and look for the common value. So let's have this as 2x squared minus now minus 2. Okay, we have plus 2x and minus 5x. Those are the coefficient of p and constant that we have gotten. Then minus 5 equals 0. Now let's put them in pair. We have it in bracket. Okay, we have this also in bracket. Look at 2x raised to power 2 plus 2x. What is common to both of them? If you look at this, 2x is common to both of them, right? So we bring out what? We bring out 2x. So let's bring out 2x. If you look at this, we have x left here and we have just 1. So we have plus 1. Now let's come to the next bracket, 5x minus 5. What is common? We have 5. But remember that we have a minus sign outside the bracket. So we multiply the minus sign outside the bracket with the minus inside the bracket. Minus times minus will give us plus. So the sign inside the bracket changes now to plus. So we have minus 5. 5 is common to both of them into bracket. X minus 1. Now we have, okay, we have plus. Based on the fact that we are multiplying minus times minus will give us plus equals 0. If you look at this, we have a common term inside the bracket. So we pick one of the common terms and the value outside the bracket. So we have x plus 1 and 2x minus 5 equals 0. Now, let's equate them to 0 and see the value of x each. So we have x plus 1 equals 0 or 2x minus 5 equals 0. So x plus 1 equals 0. What is going to be the value of x? By the time plus 1 crosses to the other side, it changes to minus. 0 minus 1 will give us what? Minus 1. So x here is going to be minus 1. Now, for the other one here, 2x minus 5 equals 0. By the time minus 5 crosses to the other side, it changes to what? Plus 5. 0 plus 5 will give us what? 5. So we have 2x equals 5. We need to get the value of x, so we are dividing both sides by 2. Divide this side by 2, divide the other side by 2. So 2 here, we cancel 2 here. We have x equals 5 over 2. So our value for x here is what? X equals to minus 1 or x equals to 5 over 2. So this leads us to the next slide, and let's see the next type of method that we can use to solve our given quadratic equation. So let's look at that. Okay, so we are looking at quadratic formula. Under quadratic formula, the normal quadratic formula that we use is what? X equals to minus b plus c into the square of b square minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a. So that is the quadratic formula that we are going to be using. And note that our x value can take both negative answer and positive answer. So we are going to be making use of quadratic formula to solve the next given example that we have. So our x can take a negative answer, okay? X can take a negative answer and what? And a positive answer. So we can both have negative and positive answer for our x. So let's look at the example that we have here. Okay, before that we have an activities here. Apply quadratic formula to solve quadratic equation. A, B, and C are what? What is A, B, and C? A, B, and C under quadratic equations are integers because they can take a negative value or a positive value. Now, quadratic equation is an algebraic expression of the dash is a second degree variable value of x. So that gives us another highlight to definition of what? Quadratic equation. Now, let's look at the example that we have here. We have to solve this using quadratic formula, which is x equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a. Now we are going to be solving this quadratic equation using that formula. X squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. So from here now, what is the coefficient of a that we can see here? Coefficient of a is what? Is 1. While the coefficient of b is what? 7. And the coefficient of c is what? 6. And that's what we are going to be using for that quadratic formula, which is x equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Now, wherever you see b, put 7. Wherever you see a, you are fixing 1. And wherever we see c, we are replacing it with what? 3. So we have x equals to minus 7 plus or minus square root of 7 squared minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 3 divided by what? 2 multiplied by 1. Now we have x equals to, what is minus 7 plus or minus, what is square root of what is 7 squared? 7 squared is what? That is 49. So we have 49 minus 4 times 1 will give us 4. I remember everything is square. We are having the square root of everything here, the square root of every value here. So 4 times 1 will give us 4. 4 times 3 is what? 4 times 3 will give us 12. So we have 12 there. Now divide this by you are dividing it by 2, right? So 49 minus 12. 49 minus 12 will give us what? 37. So we have x equals to minus 7 plus or minus square root of 37 all divided by 2. Now let's check what is the square root of 37. Square root of 37 will give us 6.083. So we have minus 7 plus or minus 6.083 all divided by 2. Now having that, we can now place our value. We have plus or minus, so we have two variables for x. So we can have x equals to minus 7 plus 6.083 divided by 2, or minus 7 minus 6.083 all divided by 2. Now getting that, now minus 7 plus 6.083 is what? That's going to give us minus 1. So x is equals to minus 1 0.83 here. Now for the other one, minus 7 minus 6.083 is going to give us what? That's going to give us minus 13.083. So we are dividing this by 2. Remember, we are still dividing by 2. So x equals to minus 1.083 divided by 2. What is that? Minus 0. That's going to give us minus 0.083. 5, 4, 1, 5. Now let's check the other one. Minus 13.3083 divided by 2 is what? We have minus 13.083 divided by 2 to give us what? Minus 6.5415. And that is give us the solution to the interactive activities of this exercise that we have here. Now that leads us to the next slide that we have, and we are going to be looking at another work example, and we see what we have here. Now for this one we have, okay, completing the square method is another method under quadratic equation that we are going to be looking at the steps involved. So if a is not equals to 1, we divide the quadratic equation by a. Now having that, what is the quadratic equation we are talking about here? We have a s raised to power 2 plus bs plus c equals 0. That's the quadratic equation we are talking about. Now, after doing that, we write the quadratic equation in the form of a square plus bs equals c. Add b over 2 raised to power 2 to both sides of the equation. Factorize the left side of the equation into a perfect square. Square root both sides of the equation and solve for x. So we are going to be using this procedure to find completing the square method activities that we have here. Now we have an example under that, and we are going to be solving. Now let's solve using completing the square method. That is 2x raised to power 2 minus 10x plus 8 equals 0. The first procedure is what? We have to divide the coefficient of a by this given expression. What is the coefficient of a that we have there? The coefficient of a is 2. So we divide this equation all through by 2. So now let's do that. We have 2x squared minus 10x plus 8 equals 0. So we are dividing this by 2. We are dividing each coefficient of x by 2. 2 can cancel x here. We have x left here minus 2 in 10 will give us 5. We have 5x plus 2 in 8. How many times can 2 divide 8? So we have, that is 4 equals 0. So now let's bring this plus 4 to the other side of the equation. So we have x squared minus 5x. It changes to what? Minus 4. Now this is the coefficient of b. The rule says that we should add the half of the coefficient of b and we should find the square. So now half of coefficient of b, which is minus 5, is what? That is that's going to be what? That's going to be minus 5 over 2. That is, we are multiplying 1 times minus 5 all divided by 2. Now let's find the square of it. We have the square of this is going to give us what? 5 over 2 square. Having 5 over 2 all square, we are now adding it to this expression there. Let's call this expression expression f. So we are adding 5 divided by 2 all square to expression f. Now we have s squared minus 5x plus 5 over 2 all square equals to, we are adding to the other side 2 minus 4 plus 5 divided by 2 all square. Now, if you are factorizing this one, we want to get the perfect square of this expression. The perfect square of this expression will give us x minus 5 all divided by 2 all square. So by the time we expand this, we are going to be getting what we have here back. Then we have our right hand side to be minus 4 plus 5 over 2 all square. Now we are going to be solving our right hand side. Now let's solve. Minus 4 plus, let's open, 5 square is 25 and 2 square will give us 4. Now let's find the LCM of this. The LCM is what? 4. So now 4 can go in 4, 1 here, how many times 1? Now 4 times 4 will give us what? 16. So we have minus 16 plus 4 in 4 is 1. 1 times 25 will give us 25. So we have minus 16 plus 25. What is minus 16 plus 25? Minus 16 plus 25 will give us 9 over 5. That is the right hand side that we have solved. Now we come back to this expression and we have x minus 5 divided by 2 all square. Now we have solved our right hand side to be what? 9 over 4. We want to take out this square. For us to take the square, we find the square root of both sides. So now let's find the square root of both sides and we introduce plus or minus since we are solving our quadratic equation. Now what we have left here is going to be x minus 5 divided by 2. The square will cancel the square root. Now you have, what is the square root of 9? We have the square root of 9 will give us 3, and square root of 4 will give us 2. So having doing that, we bring plus, we bring minus 5 over 2 to the other side, and it's going to change to plus. So we have x equals to plus minus 3 over 2 plus 5 divided by 2. Now we are expressing it in the two value because we have plus or minus, so we can now have it to be x equals to plus 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2, or x equals to minus 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2. Now, plus 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2, we have a common LCM here, which is 2. So it's going to be x equals to what? 8 divided by 2. How many times can 2 goes in 8? That is 4. That's for the first value of x. Now, the second value of x, minus 3 plus 2. Minus 3 plus 2 will give us 2. Remember, our denominator is what? 2. So we have 2 over 2. But remember, now 2 divided by 2 is what? 2 divided by 2 will give us 1. So our value here is going to be x equals to 4 or x equals to 1. And that's all the problem that we have here. Now, this leads us to past questions that we have here. We are going to be solving this past question together. Now, they said that we should use our quadratic formula to solve what we have here. So we are going to be applying the quadratic formula, which is x equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2. So we are using that to solve the equation that we have here. Now, what is the equation? We are solving for 7x raised to power 2 minus 25x minus 300 equals to 0. So now let's bring that from this expression, we have x equals to minus b plus or minus root b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Now from here, what is b? B is minus 25. B is minus 25. What is A? A is 7. And what is C? C is minus 300. Now we are going to be putting all those values inside this expression and we are solving. So we have x equals to minus. Now we have minus will give us what? We have 25, which is 25 now. Minus will give us plus. We have plus. Okay, now square root of minus 25, everything square. Now we have minus 4 multiplied by 7, A is 7, multiplied by minus 300, all divided by what? Everything divided by 2 multiplied by 7. So what is the square root of minus 25? What is minus 25 elsewhere? That is what? That is 6 to 5. So we have 25, x equals to 25 plus or minus, we have square root of 625. Now 7 times 4 times 7 times 300 is going to give us 8,400. Plus we have minus times minus will give us what? Plus. So we have plus 8,400. 2 times 7 is what? 2 times 7 is 14. So with that now let's solve and let's see what we have here. So we are going to be having x equals to 25 plus or minus 625 plus 8,400 is going to give us 9,025, all divided by 14. Now, what's the square root of 9,025? That is 95. So we have our x equals to 25 plus or minus 95, all divided by 14. So we are going to be expressing each of these values to get the answer for x. So now let's do that. So now we have x equals to 25 plus 95 divided by 14, or x equals to 25 minus 95 divided by 14. Now what is x? 25 plus 95 is what? That's 120. 120 divided by 14. 120 divided by 14 will give us what? 8.57, right? Now, the next one is what? X equals 25 minus 95. That is what? minus 90, we are dividing by 14. How many times can 14 goes in minus 70? That's minus 5. So the value, our value of for x is going to be x equals to 8.57 or x equals to minus 5. Now this takes us to the end of our class. We want you to subscribe to our channel www.edubbey.com for the full interactive content of this class. Thanks for listening.